Alright, what's up, y'all? So excuse the echo. But okay, so I seen this meme that came across my timeline. Hold on, I'm finna show you. Give me a second. Okay, so I don't know if you read my response to it, but just hear me out, okay? Now, we all have seen this particular movie. Okay, so we've all seen the movie Temptation, right? Tyler Perry's Temptation, Confessions of a Marriage Counselor, right? Okay, so it was a really, really good movie. It's a very powerful movie. And how the narrative goes in the movie is basically be grateful for what you have. Okay? Be grateful for what you have. Sometimes you don't have to go chasing waterfalls because you end up hitting rocks. Basically is what that was. As we know that the main character, one of the main characters, which was Judith. Sorry, I almost called her Gertrude. Her name was Judith. She was a young girl who fell in love with her neighbor. Young country girl fell in love with her neighbor. You know, they didn't have much, but they had love, right? As she got older, as she started to pursue her dreams in life, she started to get introduced to many different personalities that were outside of her simple country upbringing, right? And that led her to meeting this man who seemingly was the type, you know. That's the type that every woman dreams about. The rich man. He's handsome, he's rich, he's smart, he's well connected, he's smooth, you know, that guy. But the thing about that guy is that he had a package, okay? He had baggage, okay? And his baggage basically was that he was carrying around the HIV virus, okay? And he ended up giving it to her. She ended up loving the lifestyle. He started to wanted to date her and things of that nature. They had they had intercourse, okay? They had sex. And he wooed her, and then he took her from her husband, ended up giving her HIV, getting her hooked on drugs, taking her down a party life, beating her. Just, it was really bad. Now, here's the thing about that particular movie, right? It was very well written, but it was written in a narrative where it's like you have to be grateful for what you have, you know, don't go chasing waterfalls. And it was a very good movie. But I want to talk about that, but in real life. Can we take a second? Okay, so I wanted to kind of break down that movie a little bit and just kind of talk about that in real life, right? Here's the thing. A lot of people say, oh, she got AIDS or HIV. Most people say AIDS. She got AIDS because she was trying to be a city girl instead of just, you know, loving her husband. And honestly, that is true. That is a very true statement. But here's the thing, though. Can we talk about it in real life, though? Okay, you have a young country girl who falls in love with a young country man. They have a very simple upbringing, right? Never really ventured out into the city. Never really dated outside of one another. Never really had experiences, real life experiences outside of the simple life that they've always known. So naturally, as a professional person, you're going to want to have new experiences, right? Now, if I recall correctly, because it's been a while since I've seen this movie, and usually I would do my homework before doing a podcast, especially when I'm doing a breakdown of a movie, but just listen though. If I recall correctly, she wanted to kind of explore with her husband. She wanted to come out of her comfort zone with her husband. She wanted to have all of these experiences with her husband, but he didn't want to have those experiences with her. And in a relationship, because I've been there, I've seen it, I've heard about it, right? It's a point in which it's like you want to explore, you want to have fun, you want to try new things, and you want to do it with the person that you're with, but they don't want to do it, you know? And sometimes, in my opinion, I think that tears a relationship apart in a lot of situations, instances, cases, and points. Okay, so yeah, I had to re-record this part, but yeah, like they don't want to do it with you, you know what I mean? So in my opinion, I feel like that feeds into a lot of like breakups and divorces. Honestly, that's just my opinion. And I see this, like, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of times, like, when a man leaves the woman in like a relationship, it's because he's not getting what he desires at home. You know, and a lot of times, like, when you have, like, that man that's a businessman and he's, you know, going out and doing this and the third, and you have the woman who's kind of, like, she's just happy to be his wife. She's really complacent in the situation. It could grow, it could not grow. She don't mind. She just happy being there, And a lot of times I feel like that is the reason why a lot of men leave a lot of women, But in this particular movie, I feel like the roles were reversed. Like, it was a woman that was feeling that way. Like, she wasn't getting what she desired at home. She was trying to do it with her husband, but he didn't want to do it. He was complacent where he was. And so she just kind of ended up going outside the marriage, And a lot of times we'll see this happen, and it doesn't actually always lead to sex. Like, sometimes you can have people that go outside the marriage because they're not getting what they desire emotionally from their partner. They're not getting what they desire physically, obviously in the movie. They're not getting what they desire financially. It doesn't matter. It could be a myriad of reasons. But all I'm saying is that when one partner is growing one way and they're being met with new experiences and being met with new people, and the other partner is just kind of complacent and fine, and they're not really growing with their partner, right? They're just happy to be there. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times I feel like these type of situations occur, And me, I've spoken, like, I tell people this all the time. I've told my friends growing up. I've told myself growing up. I even tell students this, like, I hate to call them kids, young adults. I tell young adults this. I'm like, live out your 20s. If you don't want to commit to a person or be aware of committing to a person in your 20s, and they'll be like, why? And I say, well, because you never get your youth back. You'll never get this time back. You know what I mean? And sometimes when you commit too early, and even like sometimes when you sometimes when you have like a baby early, you know what I'm saying? It kind of reduces the experiences that you could have during that time period as a young adult. So I often would tell people, and even myself, I'd be like, kind of be weary of committing to relationships in your young adult, in your early 20s, your late teens, because you will miss a lot of experiences that, in my opinion, you're going to become very curious about when you get older, right? And sometimes I see this a lot in a lot of relationships. Like I was just saying, you might have a partner that's really like content and complacent, in your relationship. And meanwhile, you're trying to grow and advance, and they're not growing and advancing with you. So you're going to miss all of these experiences because you have a partner that doesn't want to do that because they're fine where they are. You know what I'm saying? And to me, in my mind, I'm feeling like ideally, because life is full of ups and downs, ins and outs, and all over the place, right? So you never really know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But ideally, in my mind, if you enjoy your 20s, your youth, your young adult, and you get to explore and you try new things without committing to a relationship, as a woman especially, you get to have all these different experiences. And me personally, I feel like that as a young adult, you should have some sexual experiences. You know what I mean? Use condoms, but you should have those sexual experiences. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, I'm not saying just be with everybody. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is enjoy yourself. Things that you're curious about, explore. You know what I mean? And I say that because ideally, by the time you get older, in your older 20s, in your early 30s, you've had those experiences. You know what I mean? So you're not as curious. You're ready to settle down. And hopefully your mate has had those experiences too. So they're ready to settle down, start a family. You know what I'm saying? So that's my reason for saying that. And if you look at this movie, she never really had those experiences outside of a simple, plain Jane life. And I think that those experiences are very important as a young adult because, and not just from a relationship standpoint, but also I feel like when you're having children as well, because you're not, like, your kids may or may not come out like you. Like, you may be a simple, plain Jane type family, but you're going to have at least one wild child. You know what I'm saying? And in order to relate to that wild child, you probably would have had to have some wild experiences yourself. You know what I'm saying? And it's just ideally speaking, right? Because as they say, boys will be boys, kids will be kids, and I feel like you can be a lot more relatable if you've had those experiences. You understand what I'm saying?